This is the T-6 Texan 2 by Iris Simulations. So this airplane, I think, is really just a nice looking airplane. I always did like the T-6 Texan 2s, even when I see them live. And so I couldn't help but to pick this one up. So again, this is by Iris Simulations. So this is the outside. Now, the one thing that you might want to know about the T-6 Texan in this particular case is that there are two external fuel tanks that you can actually put on this airplane. Right now, I'm showing it without the external fuel tanks, but if you want the external fuel tanks, all you have to do is go to your weight and balance, and you have the externals 1 and 2, and just add the fuel. And now you have external tanks. So it really is your choice on what you want to do with that. I personally do not want the external fuel tanks. I like the clean look, so I'm going to remove the external fuel tanks. This is a quick look around. As you see, you have all your static elements here. Wheel chocks, etc., etc. All right, so we're going to head on to the inside. Okay, now we're inside. You have your displays here, your backup attitude indicator. You got a clock here. This is your radios and communication equipment here. I really don't know how to use the radio and communication equipment in the T6. I haven't spent the time to figure that out. And of course, most of the airplanes I review, I also have the pilot's operating handbook. This one is no different. I actually have the NATOPS for this airplane that I'm going to, of course, put in the description. So if you really want to get deeper into this airplane, you can using the NATOPS flight manual. So of course, here you have your throttle and your joystick or control stick. This is your parking brake and all of your electrical equipment here, fuel pump, starter, etc., etc. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start this up. This actually defaults pretty well with the Alpha and Bravo, the Alpha flight, the Alpha yoke, and the Bravo flight, the Bravo throttle quadrant. So I'm going to use those mostly. So I'm going to turn on battery master. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is I am going to, if you look here, you can set the different type of HUDs. All these things are auto once you turn it on. The FOD covers come off, the wheel chocks come off. You can connect the GPU if you want to, you don't have to. I'm not really sure what this is, but I do know that I'm going to change my units into inches of mercury. And of course, if I want smoke, I can turn it on. I guess if I want to do aerobatics or be seen, I can do that. The air crew, you can show both or none. But I want to turn my ICAS on because I'm going to need that to start the engine. So next thing I'm going to do, I see all of these. I'm going to go ahead and lock my canopy. So we have our lock here. So that shows locked and latched. And I'm going to set this. So now this is really important. So when I learned how to start this, I actually used the NATOPS manual to figure out how to start this thing. This tells me that my throttle's ready and set. So this actually is a FADEC engine, so it'll start itself. So I can just put this into start mode. And then my job is to simply monitor the engine. Make sure my oils come up, temps come up, hydraulic pressure comes up. Watching N1. And making sure all of my warnings go off. Okay, the engine started. I'm gonna go ahead and turn on my avionics. And so now they're gonna go ahead and boot up. This tells me how much fuel I have. This is my waypoint. Today we're going to be flying from Creve Coeur to Sullivan, Missouri. Not a long flight, probably about 15-20 minutes. And in that flight, we're also going to explore some of the flight characteristics of this, test the autopilot, and just have some fun with it. Then we're going to go ahead and land it. So with that being said, engine's good, gauge is in the green. Let's go ahead and now what you also notice, there is a lag. The other thing with this airplane, for some reason, and I don't know how true this is, I didn't see this with the NATOPS manual, but it seems like I am using the rudder pedals, actually the brakes, differential braking to steer. I'm not using the rudder pedals per se. I'm pushing the rudder pedals all the way in, but it seems like to get the most effective turning, you got to use the brakes. So it's going to run off differential braking. I don't know how true that is to the actual aircraft, but we'll work with it. I'm not really used to differential braking. All the aircraft that I have had rudder pedal steering with no differential braking. Well, except the Cirrus. The Cirrus does that. So I'm going to go ahead and look. And there's nobody on final because, of course, I have turned traffic off. And you see the resident train. So I'm going to go ahead and set my flaps to takeoff. Your flap settings here, actually, you have up, takeoff, and landing. That's it. All right. We're going to be flying VFR today, so I have it. The airplane actually defaults to 1200. And a differential steering takes some getting used to. Okay, we're lined up. Now the rudder pedals have become more effective once we got moving. Go ahead. Got a slight crosswind. Positive rate of climb, gear up. Flaps up. Turn on my. I'm now going to turn on my tracker, eye tracker. I'm going to climb up to about 2,500 feet. So the plane actually flies pretty well. There we go, looking for my line. Alright, so now I'm trying to trim it out to see if it's how well it trims. My particular airplane, for some reason, has a tendency to want to roll to the left, but hopefully that'll even out as, you know, we use fuel. So now I'm trying to get it trimmed. I'm also looking at my ForeFlight, so let's go ahead and stay out of KSUS's airspace here. Okay, so I've got it on actual weather, so it's a little windy day today. So that explains kind of the buffets, and we're down low, so there's that as well. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do, let's go ahead and I want to do some steep turns, see how that works out. So that's not too bad. Then steep turn back to the right. And that was the stall warning. All right, let's see if what happens when we stall it. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring the power back, and we'll see what the stall speed is. There we go. So that wasn't too bad of a recovery. It's actually pretty gentle. All right. So now we're going to turn into our course, intercept that. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to activate my autopilot. So I'm going to turn the autopilot master on. And I'm going to go heading and altitude. So now we're just going to track that. Okay, so what's happening now is I'm set up for intercept course. I'm going to try the nav and see what I get. See if there's a nav mode here. Okay, so right here you have your our ground speed is 177, your airspeed is 184. Let's kick that up a little bit. So these are all for some sort of data entry. Set the barometer here. But I am not sure how I'm not sure how on the actual airplane autopilot works, so I'm just using my Bravo throttle quadrant. It's just easier. Okay, so it will not pick up nav, so I got to turn it manually. So right now, from what I can tell, I have a 2-axis autopilot. Yeah, pretty much 2-axis autopilot. So that's okay. We'll just use that. This is what it looks like from the outside. Alright, so that's the outside. Now, let's see, we'll turn on the navs. Got the strobes on. Let's see if they show up at night, or do I need to do that from the screen itself? So I'm gonna go here. Let's make it dark. And external. So this is it at night. right, so that's it. That's it. What it looks like at night. So we're on course and we're cruising right along at 201 knots. And it's about time that we get ready to land. So yeah, we're cruising at 201 knots. Ground speed is 218 knots. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn the autopilot off. And I'm gonna reduce my throttle. We're gonna go ahead and start our descent. I'm gonna use runway 24. Oh, we need to descend like that. You look down for a minute, and next thing you know, boom. So we'll go ahead and do straight in to runway 24. Kind of slow up a little bit. Tracker back on. So now I can look around. Now, actually, I think I'm going to do an update when I actually learn how to use this thing for instruments. And see if I can do an ILS or RNAV approach for this. Just right now, I'm just getting used to it. And this is way different than just your regular civilian type airplanes. So I should be heading straight to it right about now. I've actually never been to this airport in real life. So this is the first trip for me. There we go. Put gear down. Now, flaps to landing. There's a runway. According to NATOPS, it's supposed to be around 90 or 80 knots or so, I think. For your touchdown speed, anyway. It's getting a little bumpy. Okay, there we go. Oh. There we go. Not the best landing, not the worst. I didn't really... Had a little crosswind. Got a little gusty, but, you know, again. So now my rudder pedals are still in effect. And as I slow down, I'm going to need to use differential braking. This airplane does not seem to have thrust reversals, at least not according to the Bravo throttle quadrant. But I'm wondering, no, not there either. So yeah, I took up the whole runway. I drifted a little bit. I maybe could have gone in a little slower. And now we're using the differential braking again. So this airplane takes a little bit of practice. Compared to some of the other ones. On my system, this seems to also to be a little bit of a, I guess it's performance hog. So some of my other planes don't take this much graphical power. But then again, I don't have a high-end system either. I only have a NVIDIA 3060 on my graphics card. So this isn't a powerhouse computer, so but that's also what it is. This is your captain speaking. We have arrived at Sullivan Airport. All right, here we are. So we're at Sullivan, and my final thoughts on this airplane is this is a fun little airplane. It is going to take some practice. I strongly suggest you download the NATOPS that I will put in the description so that you can get used to this airplane and find out its ins and outs, things like that. If you enjoyed this content, please feel free to subscribe, like, and share this video, and subscribe to the channel, of course. So that being said, blue skies and tailwinds.